Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those who are new, welcome. My name is Monica. In today's video, I'm going to be going over my June reading wrap-up. In June, I read 34 books. I had 6 5 stars, 8 4.5 stars, 8 4 stars, 6 3.5 stars, 2 3 stars. 2 books I left unrated because they were just going to be below 3 stars. I had 1 DNF and 1 reread. I also read or listened to 9 ARCs or ALCs, depending on what the book was and how it was sent to me. So for format breakdown, I listened to 28 audiobooks. I read 3 ebooks and 3 physical books. So I actually got some physical books in there this month, so that was pretty good. So for genre or subgenre breakdown, I read 4 historical romances, 14 contemporary romances, 1 sports romance, 3 romantic suspense, 1 mafia romance, 3 dark romances, 4 paranormal romances, 3 romanticises, and 1 cozy mystery. Let's get into the second half of my 4, 4.5, and 5-star reads. I did do a mid-month wrap-up, and I will link that video down below. And if you like to know my thoughts for the first part of June, please go reference that video. So the first book that I read in the second half of June that I gave 4.5 stars was Capri by Indy Valentine. This is a new to me author. I did get the ALC from Must Love Audio, and this is the first book in the Meadows Sisters duet. This book is about a woman named Capri. She goes to Capri in Italy on the Amalfi Coast for a vacation with her sister. It's a 7-day vacation after her divorce is final, after she found her husband cheating with her best friend, which will come into play later on in the book. So she's fresh off a divorce. She goes here and she meets our heroine, Jones. He owns this boating luxury yacht business where he rents luxury yachts and boats to people, and he takes them out on day trips and stuff. Her sister meets one of his employees and they are invited on to this yacht. She re-meets Jones after they met in a candy shop in Capri, and they have a vacation flying book. Funny enough, they are actually from the same town. They just didn't know it because he lives most of his time in Italy and she lives most of her time in South Carolina, and there's a significant age gap, so she wouldn't have known that he lived in her small town until he comes home to help his mother, who has dementia. So one of the things that I've noticed for the last couple months, a lot of characters have a parent with dementia, specifically a mother. I don't know what's going on. I actually really enjoyed this book. I thought it was really well done. I thought the characters were interesting. They were not flat characters. I enjoyed the settings. The author did a good job with the settings. The pacing was good. I enjoyed my time listening to this book. The narrators were Sebastian York and Stephanie Kay. They really brought out the emotions and the lust in this book. It was very spicy. I enjoyed it. I would recommend it, especially around summertime because it has the summer vibes. And I'm impressed with this author. I think she did a really good job. So the next book that I read was Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood, and I also gave this 4.5 stars. I believe this was for a vlog, and I will link that vlog down below. Anyhow, this one is a very slow burn romance, and I really enjoyed it. I love the characters. This had a pretty significant age gap where Connor, our hero, was 38 and Maya, our heroine, she's 23, and he's the one who has the problem with the age gap, but nobody else does, not even her brother. And that went on a little too long, but other than that, I loved the destination wedding backdrop in Italy. I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the banter. I enjoyed everything about this book. It was fantastic. If he hadn't gone on so long about the age gap, this would have been a 5-star read, hands down, but I would recommend it. It's a really, really good book. I do believe I talked about this book earlier in the month as well in I think a summer vibe video, and it was My Favorite Bad Decision by Elizabeth O'Rourke. I absolutely ate this one up. It was so freaking good. This one's about Kit, where she was going to go hike Mount Kilimanjaro. And Miller, who was her sister's ex-boyfriend when she was 17, he was dating her sister. That's when they first met. He's back 10 years later on the same hike up Kilimanjaro, and the sparks fly, everything clashes. It's fantastic. It's messy. The mess is fantastic because she has to get over the fact that her sister is a little bit needs therapy. Her sister needs therapy. She sees Miller as the one who got away, even though they barely dated. He dumped her via text because he figured out he liked someone much better, who was more his speed. And it really goes off from there. And her mother is simply, what's the word? Conniving. Her mother's conniving. That's a good word for it. And I love her character growth because she goes from obeying her family to actually going to marry some dude that she didn't really want to marry. And with Miller, she figures a lot out on that mountain. And I loved it. And we had the beach scene where they ran away together to get her out of a sticky situation, and it was just fantastic. I gave this 5 stars. I would highly recommend this book, and I can't wait for the next book to come out. And then I actually finished a series from Nora Roberts. This is the Chesapeake Bay series, and it's very summery, and because they're boat makers on the Chesapeake Bay, and they're also brothers they're adoptive brothers, okay? So we have Ethan, we have Cam, who was the first book, and then we had Philip and we have Seth. So Philip, Cam, and Ethan came together after their adoptive father dies in a car accident. They take custody of their 10-year-old brother named Seth. And so that's was established in the first book. The second book is Ethan and Grace. Grace has always been the one that he loves, but Ethan has a really, really bad background from what happened before his adoptive father and adoptive mother found him and took him in and away from his biological mother, who his biological mother pimped him out, okay? Sold him to her Johns. So that is in that book. It is extremely difficult because we see how it affected Ethan, where he just doesn't feel like he's good enough for Grace. Grace is a single mother because she kind of gave up a little bit on Ethan, married a guy who basically ditched her and didn't want the kid because they weren't really in love. She's always loved Ethan. Ethan's always loved her. And Grace works for them as a house cleaner because she's trying to make ends meet to support her daughter. She refuses to go to her father for help. And it is their story. I love the dynamic between Ethan and Grace, and especially with Grace and Seth. So there's stuff that was revealed about Seth and his past and his mother. His mother tried to do the same thing that Ethan's mother did, but Seth was quick and he was able to get out of that situation. So he wasn't actually, by these Johns, whereas Ethan were. So just be very aware that this is a theme in these books and they're heavy because of it. I really loved the way she wrote this whole entire series. This series is really solid. I loved Ethan as a character and how he grew, and I loved how Grace ended up standing up for herself, and because she knew she deserved more and she wanted Ethan. And I loved how things were smoothed over with Seth, because Seth was still very much like, they're going to send me back to my mother and I will not go back to my mother. I will run away if they send me back to my mother. So that didn't happen. And then I went directly onto Inner Harbor, which is Philip's book, and this new woman in town, and I believe her name was Sybil. Yes, her name was Sybil. And Sybil they met by chance. Now, Philip's backstory isn't as horrible as Ethan's. Philip, he did prostitute himself to survive before he was found as a child. And he was a thief as well. So, and he was very much a master manipulator. He's really good. Those adoptive parents really saved these 3 boys, Cam, Ethan, and Philip. And so they end up becoming a family with Seth. Now we have Cam and his wife, Anna, who was in the first book. Anna is the social worker, which I had to suspend my disbelief a little bit about that. But yes, that one happened. Then we had Ethan and Grace, which I just talked about. And then Inner Harbor is Sybil and Philip. Philip really likes Sybil. She's a social scientist who likes to observe people in nature, basically. But she also has this secret. See, Sybil has a connection to Seth, and that comes out. And so that kind of disrupts the flow of the romance, but only for a few minutes. Sybil had to figure out some stuff about Seth's mom and what really happened and all that stuff. And I really liked that. I really liked that Sybil stood up for Seth at the very end. It was such a really well done book. I gave this one 4 stars as well. Then we had a small little novella, and you'll see it right here. So you cannot get this anywhere. I found this on Thrift Books. It has 2 small Christmas novellas in it. And the first one was the Chesapeake Bay series, and it was The Quinn's Christmas. So this one is in Seth's point of view. This is their first Christmas. It is 8 pages long. That's it. I absolutely love this because it showed the character growth. It showed all the brothers, Seth, Ethan, Philip, and Cam. They all really bonded with each other. You saw Anna, and we heard about Grace and Anna Sybil as well. We heard about them, but we saw Anna and the rest of the boys. And Seth figures out that this is his family, and this is when he finally lets his guard down with his family. He's no longer trying to plan an escape and how he's going to run away when everything goes south, because everything went south for him all the time. He was still 10 years old in this. I gave it 4.5 stars. It was a very emotional book because of what you saw all of the boys go through in each of the first 3 books. I really do recommend this one. So if you want to, this one is very hard to find though. So just be aware of that. But I did give this 4.5 stars, and I'm going to put it back up here. And then the last book in the Chesapeake Blue series, or the Chesapeake Bay series, is Chesapeake Blue. That's why I said Chesapeake. Anyhow, this one is Seth's book, and he is a famous artist by now. Now, he meets Drew when he comes back home. He's been living in Rome, Italy, mainly to stay away from his mother, because his mother is just a horrible human being. So Drew is short for Drusilla, and she owns the local flower shop, but she also has very deep DC connections. Her I think her grandfather was a senator or something. Anyway, so his mother is coming back in town, harassing him, trying to get money and stuff. This woman, the damage she did to her son and everything, like, he didn't feel like he didn't want his mother to touch Drew or the rest of his family. And he had to learn that sometimes you do need help, even with getting rid of sociopathic people out of your life. It was really well done. I enjoyed the romance very much in this one. I enjoyed the character growth. I enjoyed getting back to this world where we see how the first 3 couples evolved to where it is now. I loved the series. I gave Chesapeake Blue 4.5 stars. This is my favorite book in the series because we just saw so much growth out of all the characters in this book. And I would recommend this. It's a solid series. So my least favorite is book 1. Then I listened to the ALC of Rose and Chains by Julie Soto. This was one of my most anticipated books of 2025, and I got it through NetGalley and Hatchet Audio, and I really enjoyed it. I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. So the first 35% of this book was setting up the magical world, and a lot of characters were just like, it was just so many characters. They were characters' names were being thrown at you. I had a hard time with that, because if you're gonna throw characters into a world, they need to have a purpose. I need to know that they have a purpose, especially at the very beginning, because we're getting introduced to the characters. I'm not supposed to know the lore because I know this is Harry Potter fan fiction and it's from the auction. I understand that. Knowing that, I should not know about the lore. I should be going in with fresh eyes that this is something different, right? I think the thing is with the first part of the book is the first 35-40% of the book My biggest thing was too many characters. It felt rushed, and I was like, a lot of information was coming out at me, which I think that's where she should have edited a little more and streamlined it a little more. I did not need to know all these characters' names at that moment. If I was reading the fan fiction, I would know who these characters are. I would not need that backstory. And here I would need that backstory. So that's where the issues were coming in for me. So after the auction was done, and Rhaenys, who is our heroine, she is a princess, and she goes with Tobin. I keep wanting to call him Malfoy. Anyway, Tobin, and he goes to his manor, and she is to be his conduit, his slave, because she has heart magic and head magic, and he can basically, I'm going to use the word mate with her to get her magic for him, for his own personal use. That's what this world was supposed to be for. However, they had a pass where they both had mutual pining together. And I enjoyed the book. I enjoyed the story and how it went through. I did not know this was a trilogy. I had no idea this was a trilogy. So towards the latter part of the story, I was like, where's the final conflict? What's going on? And then I went online and I was like, this is the first book in a trilogy. Okay, sure. I will be continuing on this. I really liked the characters. I really liked the storyline as it went past the auction. I think that part was just a little much for me, simply because I needed it to be more streamlined. I don't need to know every single character's name and what their purpose is, and before they're just like completely wiped. And I was like, who's this person? Why do I care? So that's one of my biggest pet peeves is, if you're gonna throw characters at us, make sure they have a purpose and there's a reason why for it. And it should be within the first 20 to 30% of the book that we understand why these characters exist and what their purpose is. Because otherwise, what am I doing? Because I want to start caring about these characters. And so that's me off my soapbox. But I really enjoyed it, and I did read this in a vlog, and I will also link in the vlog down below. So anyway, 4.5 stars for that one. And then I read The Prince of Prohibition, also in that vlog, and I gave it 5 stars. You want to know my full thoughts, go watch that vlog, but I absolutely adored this one. It was in the roaring 20s. You had fae, you had intrigue, you had family drama, you had dragons. It was fantastic. I loved it. 5 stars, and I will be continuing on in that series, but again, that vlog is linked down below. And then I read Some Like Love by Ashley Poston, and I gave this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. This one also had a mother who has dementia or Alzheimer's, and I'm just like, see, that was Capri, Sounds Like Love, Say You'll Remember Me, and the Kennedy Ryan book, Can't Get Enough. I think that's what it is. They all had major themes about parents with dementia. That was a lot within a couple months. I'm not going to lie. Actually within a month. That was within June, April, May, and June. 4 books with within 3 months that had a parent with dementia. I'm just saying this because that started to become repetitive and became a lot. This one I really liked a lot. This one is about Joni. She is struggling when she came home to North Carolina. She's a successful songwriter in LA, and then she started hearing this melody in her head, and this guy who came in her head, and she could hear his thoughts. And it is their love story on how they he figures out who she is very quickly. He comes to North Carolina, and I actually really liked the way this one with dementia was done a lot. Like this one, Capri, they're all done well. It was just a lot. I'm sorry, it was just a lot. And that's my own personal thing, okay? So anyway, I really liked that the guy, Sasha, he was all in with Joni, and as they were working on this love song, as they were working on this melody, when he first got to North Carolina, he went to her family's music venue bar. It's called The Revelry, and I absolutely loved it because they had like a Bette Midler drag queen cover band for on stage, which I think is absolutely fantastic. I would absolutely go see that type of a show because that sounds like a lot of fun. Anyhow, this did border a little bit on women's fiction, but I really liked the dynamic between Sasha and Joni. I really liked how their romance progressed and their backstory. How did they originally meet? Because they did originally meet each other before then, and how everything just sort of circled back. And when I say circle back, you have to read the book to understand that because I'm not going to give that away, but I really loved the way it circled back, and I loved how it ended. It has a very solid romance. It has a very solid plot. I really enjoy the characters, and I gave 4 stars. So, and then I read Firefly Effect by K.K. Allen. This is a standalone romantic suspense, and I gave 4 stars. They live in a small town, and it's very heavy on the suspense, so be aware of that. So Evie's friend was murdered 14 years ago, and the serial killer had the moniker of the Firefly Man. And they were kids when this happened. We have a new guy come in town. He's a single father. His name's Lincoln, and he's the new therapist in town. Things unravel with Lincoln. What we find out that he is actually working for the FBI, for the BAU, and there's reasons for this, and I'm not going to tell you why, because this is a really, really good romantic suspense. I loved that Evie and Lincoln, their chemistry was off the charts. I could feel the chemistry between these two. I really loved his daughter, Lucy, and the romance really goes from a slow burn to I love you. Very quickly, but there's reasons for that, and you just have to read the book to understand what I'm trying to say, because I'm, again, not giving away the plot, but I really loved the third act conflict and who ended up being the Firefly Man. I was surprised. I was impressed by K.K. Allen's writing. I would absolutely recommend this as a romantic suspense. So 4 stars for that one as well. So the last book I read in June, that was 5 stars, was Crazy Love by Willow Asher. This is her newest book in the Single Dad's Playbook series. This is a sports romance. And this one is the very end, and I absolutely loved it. This one is about Penn and Addie. They met in Mexico when he was officiating a wedding for their friends, or for his friends in Mexico, and they shared a kiss. Jump forward to present day. She is hired as the football team's new nutritionist, and they come face to face again. And he is not originally a single dad. There's this kid that he was a kind of a buddy for a foster type of a program. The foster home is abusive, so there is talk of child abuse, and you do see on page the results of that child abuse. So Addie and Penn, they get over the initial shock of you reuniting after Mexico, and she is the coach's daughter, and they end up getting married so he could adopt this little boy, because they were never going to let him even foster this kid because he was a single man. So they get married so they can save this boy from being starved and being beaten. And so the story picks up from there, and I absolutely loved the romance. It is lower ranked for sure, but I absolutely loved the reason why they got married. They got married to save this kid, and I loved how it became like such a big found family situation. I really enjoyed the characters, I enjoyed the romance, and I would wholly recommend this one, and I gave it 5 stars. It wasn't my favorite book of the month, but it was near the top. Honestly, my favorite book of the month was My Favorite Bad Decision, and then it would be Prince of Prohibition, and then it would be Crazy Love, because Crazy Love was so good. Anyway, so those are the books that I read in the second half of June. Let me know if you are interested in any of them, or if you read them, what do you think? Let me know all the things down below, and if you don't want to comment, please leave me a red heart emoji, because I can't think of anything else. And until next time, my friends, happy reading. Bye.